Hi everyone. This video is a discussion on legal aspect and tourism and hospitality with my first topic, which is Introduction to Law and Philippine Government. Before I proceed for my discussion, this video is made for educational and informational purposes only. Any content shown or mentioned, such as images, clips, or materials, is used to support learning and is not intended to infringe on any copyright. I do not claim ownership of any third-party content, and all rights belong to their respective owners. If you are a copyright holder and have concerns, feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to make any necessary changes. Thank you, and now let's get started. Again, this is a discussion on legal aspect in tourism and hospitality. In this video, I will be discussing the first topic for this course, which is Introduction to Law and Philippine Government. In this video, I'll be discussing the following: definition and characteristic of law, sources of law, Philippine government and its branches, how a bill become a law, inherent power of the government. Now let's start with the definition. Law is defined as, according to Collins, law is a system of rules that a society or government develops to deal with crime, business, business agreements, and social relationships. The law can also be used to refer to the people who work in this system. As defined, it says here that the society or the government develops the law to deal with crime, business agreements, and social relationship. Here in the Philippines, we already have that kinds of law. For examples, we have revised penal code. The revised penal code provides actions or omissions that are considered crimes and provides its penalties. For business agreements, we have the Civil Code of the Philippines, which provides the basic concepts such as obligation and contract of sales, etc., etc. For social relationship, one good example is the Family Code of the Philippines, which provides the definition of marriage. Now let's go with the characteristic. In terms of characteristic of law, it consists of rule of conduct, just and obligatory, promulgated by legislative authority, and it's for the common observance and benefits. For rule of conduct, it means that this law or the law that we have is created to have an order in our society. There must be a purpose of the creation of the law, which is for public order. Imagine having a country or a city that doesn't have any law. That's why the law must be under or has a characteristic of rule of conduct, which we will go on the next characteristic, which is just and obligatory. It means it shall be applied to everyone. The law shall apply to everyone, hence no one shall be above the law. The third characteristic is that the law shall be promulgated by legitimate authority. Here in the Philippines, our law shall be created by a competent authority, which is the legislative department or the Congress. We will have a separate topic on this one later on. Last characteristic is the law shall be created for common observance and benefits. It shall be created for the welfare of the people. Dapat ginawa ang batas para sa makakabuti ng mga tao. Now, here in the Philippines, we have different kinds of sources of law. We have the Philippine Constitution, statutes or legislative enactments, administrative orders, jurisprudence or judicial decisions, customs, and other sources. For the Constitution, we have the 1987 Constitution. Our 1987 Constitution is the fundamental law of the land. It is the highest law of the land, which other law shall follow it. We will have a separate discussion about this one, which we will have a further understanding how it will be related in tourism and hospitality. Second is the statutes or legislative enactments. These laws enacted by legislative authority, which here in the Philippines, like what I said before, is the Congress. We have different names or nomenclature of the laws. Baka malito kayo, pero all of it are still applicable as long as they are not yet repealed or amended. They have different names because they are enacted with different constitution, different times. Like for example, laws under Batas Pambansa is enacted during the 1973 Constitution. Presidential decree was enacted during the time of the dictatorship of Marcos. Republic Acts is under the 1987 Constitution. Most of them are still effective, like what I said, unless they are amended or repealed. Now, for example, in Republic Acts, we have the 9593, which is the Tourism Act of 2009. But as Pambansa, one of the example is BP 22, which is anti-bouncy law, which prohibits the bouncing of the check or issuing bouncy checks. Presidential decree, one of the example is the PD 442, which is the Labor Code of the Philippines. And for the acts, one of the example is the revised penal code, which is enacted during the American colonization. We also have administrative orders as source of law. These are the rules or rules and regulations provided by the executive department. Jurisprudence or judicial decisions are Supreme Court decisions which explains the application of the law. In case na may malabo sa batas, the Supreme Courts will explain it and resolve the controversy. And such decision will form part of the law of the land. Our law sometimes depends on what our custom we have right now. Some of the indication that some indication that some of our laws depends on our custom is that under Article 6 of Civil Code of the Philippines, it provides that rights may be waived unless it is contrary to law, public order, public policy, morals, or good custom. That is an indication that some of our laws depend on what is our customs right now, customs and traditions. Other sources. Other sources are the decisions of foreign tribunals and opinions of the textbook writers. Sometimes these sources are bases of the Supreme Court in deciding their case. That is why it may be considered as a sources or explanation of our law. Now let's proceed to the Philippine government. First, let's define government. Government refers to the body of people and different agencies that make and enforce laws. It is the apparatus of the state that manages its affairs and carry out the will of the people. The agency or instrumentality through which the will of the people is formulated, expressed, and realized. So in Tagalog, ang government dapat yung nag-enforce ng batas at the same time gumagawa din sila ng batas para sa ikakabuti ng mga tao. Okay? Now, in Philippine government, we have three branches of department, okay? Or three branches of government. We have executive, legislative, and judiciary. These are the three branches of Philippine government. Executive are the one who executes the law. Legislative are the one who creates the law. And judiciary are the one who interprets the law. So in Tagalog, we have tagapagpatupad, tagagawa, at yung isa is taga-interpret. They are co-equal with one another. No one is above and no one is below. As you can see in our illustration, there is also constitutional commissions. Constitutional commissions and offices which also co-equal with the other three branches are the following. We have Civil Service Commission, Commission on Elections, and Commission on Audit. Meanwhile, the two offices, the constitutional offices, are the Office of Ombudsman and the Commission on Human Rights. Now, in executive, we have the Office of the President and the Vice President. Under the Vice President, we have the cabinet members, which consists of secretaries, such as Secretary of Justice of Department of Justice, Secretary of Tourism of Department of Tourism. They are all directly reporting to the President. Part of the executive department is also the local government, such as the governors and mayors, which have the same mandate, which is to execute the law.